We do not learn from experience. We learn from reflecting on experience. Education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. Failure is instructive. The person who really thinks learns quite as much from his failures as from his successes. Give the pupil something to do, not something to learn, and the doing is of such a nature as to demand thinking. Learning naturally results. A problem well put is half solved. We only think when confronted with a problem. The self is not something ready-made, but something in continuous formation through choice of action. Every great advance in science has issued from a new audacity of imagination. If we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. Hunger not to have, but to be. We're all instructors to realize that the quality of mental process, not the production of correct answers, is the measure of educative growth. Something hardly less than a revolution in teaching would be worked. There's all the difference in the world between having something to say and having to say something. Art is the most effective mode of communications that exists. Education is a social process. Education is growth. Education is not preparation for life, but is life itself. The good man is the man who, no matter how morally unworthy he has been, is moving to become better. The most important attitude that can be formed is that of desire to go on learning. The deepest urge in human nature is the desire to be important. Scientific principles and laws do not lie on the surface of nature. They are hidden and must be wrested from nature by an active and elaborate technique of inquiry. To find out what one is fitted to do and to secure an opportunity to do it is the key to happiness. To me, faith means not worrying. The path of least resistance and least trouble is a mental rut already made. It requires troublesome work to undertake the alteration of old beliefs. We always live at the time we live and not at some other time, and only by extracting at each present time the full meaning of each present experience are we prepared for doing the same thing in the future. The only way to abolish war is to make peace seem heroic. Arriving at one goal is the starting point to another. Conflict is the gadfly of thought. It stirs us to observation and memory. It instigates invention. It shocks us out of sheep, like passivity, and sets us at noting and contriving. Conflict is a sine qua non of reflection and ingenuity. The educational process has no end beyond itself. It is its own end. Like the soil, mind is fertilized while it lies fallow, until a new burst of bloom ensues. The goal of education is to enable individuals to continue their education. As long as politics is the shadow of big business, the attenuation of the shadow will not change the substance. Wonder is the mother of all science. Faith in the possibilities of continued and rigorous inquiry does not limit access to truth to any channel or scheme of things. It does not first say that truth is universal and then add there's but one road to it. Anyone who has begun to think places some portion of the world in jeopardy. Education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. Education, therefore, is a process of living and not a preparation for future living. Of all affairs, communication is the most wonderful. The ultimate function of literature is to appreciate the world, sometimes indignantly, sometimes sorrowfully, but best of all to praise when it is luckily possible. A problem well defined is a problem half solved. Nothing is more tragic than failure to discover one's true business in life, or to find that one has drifted or been forced by circumstance into an uncongenial calling. Education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. Thinking and feeling that have to do with action and association with others is as much a social mode of behavior as is the most overt, cooperative, or hostile act. Leonardo virtually announced the birth of the method of modern science when he said that true knowledge begins with opinion. The two limits of every unit of thinking are a perplexed, troubled, or confused situation at the beginning and a cleared-up, resolve situation at the close. Expertness of taste is at once the result and reward of constant exercise of thinking. Never let fear define who you are, and never let where you came from determine where you are going. I believe, finally, that education must be conceived as a continuing reconstruction of experience, that the process and the goal of education are one and the same thing. A single course of studies for all progressive schools is out of the question. It would mean abandoning the fundamental principle of connection with life experiences. I believe, finally, that education must be conceived as a continuing reconstruction of experience, that the process and the goal of education are one and the same thing. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more video.